It was a little after 2 in the afternoon when the knock came. Not the soft kind you hear at a polite neighbor's door. This was sharp, loud, and so sudden it made my whole body jolt. I was sitting in my living room, music playing, the afternoon light spilling through the window. My boyfriend was beside me on the couch. We weren't doing anything scandalous, just kissing, enjoying the quiet, private rhythm of a moment that felt hours. And then, bam, a fist on glass, inches away from my face. I turned, startled, my heart hammering. And there she was, Jake's mom, outside my window. I didn't even know how long she'd been there, peering in. Her face was close enough that I could see the shape of her mouth forming words before I could hear them. When I finally stepped outside, she was already apologizing. But in that hurried, half-distracted way people do when they don't think they've done anything wrong. She said she just wanted to know if her son, Jake, had been by, and she hadn't seen him in almost 2 hours. Almost 2 hours. Now, if this had been a one-time thing, maybe I could have brushed it off, but it wasn't. This woman had a pattern. Jake was one of my younger brother Mike's friends. They were all 14 or 15, a good group of boys who loved skating, longboarding, and just roaming the neighborhood. Our neighborhood is safe. I've lived here long enough to know that. But the parents? Some of them acted like the boys were navigating a war zone. They had a group chat, a surveillance feed, really. Constant updates. Saw them at the corner of Maple Street 15 minutes ago. They were in our yard 5 minutes ago, heading to the skate park now. Not once a day. Not even once an hour. It was constant. My mom was in the chat, though more as an observer than a participant. Sometimes she'd even show me the messages so we could laugh about how over the top it all seemed. But Jake's mom? She took it to another level, calling the house, texting me directly, because once, months ago, we'd been in a group chat for a church project, and she'd saved my number. She'd ask where the boys were, if Jake was with my brother, if I could go check. And when my mom didn't answer her, she'd come to me instead. I was 19. I didn't sign up to be anyone's teenage boy tracker. That day, I'd ignored her first call, and her second. I just didn't want to deal with it. My mom was at work. My siblings were out. The house was quiet, and I wanted to enjoy that. But instead of taking the hint, she drove over, rang the doorbell. When she didn't get an answer, she didn't leave. She walked around the side of our house, and she looked in the windows. Standing there, listening to her explain herself, I felt this mix of anger and disbelief building in my chest. I could have told her, "He's not here," and closed the door. But all the other times I'd been polite hadn't stopped her, so I told her exactly what I thought. I told her she was acting like a stalker, following her son everywhere, that looking in other people's windows was downright creepy. And then I went further. I asked if maybe this obsessive, invasive behavior was the reason her marriage ended. The words came out hot, unfiltered. I saw her face change, like I'd hit something raw. She left soon after. Inside, my boyfriend told me I was justified. My brother thought it was hilarious. But when my mom got home, the mood shifted. Her phone had been lighting up with messages from the other parents. Apparently, word had spread through their little network, and they weren't happy. My mom told me I shouldn't have said what I did about the divorce, that I'd made things harder for her, because now she was in the crossfire. And I felt bad for that. I really did. But I couldn't shake the feeling that someone had to tell this woman her behavior wasn't normal. It's not normal to monitor your teenager's movements minute by minute. It's not normal to involve unrelated people, neighbors, siblings, anyone in that constant surveillance. And it's absolutely not normal to trespass onto someone's property and peer into their windows. I kept thinking about Jake, 14 years old, trying to skate with his friends, and knowing his mom could appear at any moment. How much space was he given to grow up? To make small mistakes? To just be? I didn't set out to embarrass anyone that day, but I also didn't think she would hear it any other way. The fallout was instant. The moms tightened their circle. The group chat became colder toward my mom, and I stayed out of it, wondering if I'd made things better or worse. Was I wrong to explode? Was I cruel for taking that personal shot at her marriage? Or was it the only thing that would make her stop? So, am I the asshole? If you've ever been a teenager, you know what freedom feels like. That first taste of it. It's intoxicating. Walking to the park alone, skating until the streetlights flicker on, talking with your friends without feeling someone's eyes on you. And if you've ever been a parent, you know the flip side of that. The gnawing worry, the endless what-ifs, the urge to keep them in sight just to make sure they're safe. But here's the thing. Safety and control are not the same thing. When protection turns into surveillance, trust erodes. And without trust, you can't build a healthy relationship with your child. This story isn't just about one mom who crossed a line. It's about the balance every parent has to strike between holding on and letting go. About knowing when your fear is serving your child and when it's suffocating them. Maybe I could have handled it with more grace. Maybe my words cut deeper than they needed to. But maybe, just maybe, they were the only words sharp enough to break through. So, what about you? If someone trespassed onto your property, looked through your window, and disrupted your privacy, how far would you go to make it stop? Would you bite your tongue to keep the peace? Or would you risk burning a bridge to protect your own boundaries? Let me know what you think.